For the last 2 decades, Pixar Animation Studios have been entertaining and inspiring us with stimulating stories and lovable characters within some of the most wonderful animated movies ever made. They're the studio that, almost unlike no other, has allowed us the ability to connect with not only humans, but with animals, monsters, automobiles, robots, toys, and other inanimate objects, by infusing them with undying human spirit and the qualities that make us all who we are. Just in time for the release of Pixar's Turning Red, in this video I aim to rank all 25 currently released Pixar animated movies from least favourite to favourite. Before we get into this, don't forget to hit the like button down below. It does wonders in getting my content out there. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon to keep up to date with all my content. If you enjoy this video, don't forget I have ranked the entire Pixar and Walt Disney animation film canons by era and as a whole. You can check these out linked at the end of this video. So at that, let's get into it. Here is my personal ranking of all 25 Pixar animation movies. Kicking us off at number 25, Cars 2. Taking the form of a spy flick and putting more emphasis on fast cars and explosions than on meaningful storytelling, it has a totally ludicrous plot with super cringy bottom-of-the-barrel potty humour clearly aimed towards a much younger audience. Overall, the movie reeked of commercialism, introducing new characters that were clearly only there for marketing potential. It feels like a rushed half-effort, lacking in the love, care, humanity and depth of the original, completely missing the mark of what made it so special. 24. The Good Dinosaur. Possibly the most innocuous, generic, and lazy Pixar film. While it does have a great heart with a touching story of acceptance and self-discovery and some incredibly tender laughs, it's nothing original or groundbreaking, feeling like scores of other animations before it, lacking any Pixar charm or spark, and feeling like something that could have come from any animation studio. Background animation is stunning and realistic, though characters are basic and cartoony, leaving the whole look of the picture feeling just a little bit off. 23. Brave. With an incredibly strong start, it positions itself as a grand, sweeping epic with good characters, spectacular animation, and a solid narrative setup. However, it crumbles rapidly, moving from a serious opening to a comedic adventure with a thin, dull narrative. I love the mystical and mythical elements, though they're not utilised or explored heavily enough. Its storybook style and rehashed messages make it derivative, though I still like their take on the fairy tale formula and would welcome more. While Merida is a great, strong character, she alone can't save the film from mediocrity. 22. Finding Dory. More of a spin-off than a sequel, Pixar built a film that lives up to its predecessor, but never quite outdoes it. While Dory is highly enjoyable and features a lot of the same heart and warmth, terrific animation and incredible sequences of the first, it tends to tread a lot of the same messages and themes, lacking the character depth and storytelling complexity, originality and intricacy. Though I really enjoy it and don't have a problem with the fact that it exists, it's a movie that probably didn't need to. 21. Cars 3. The true sequel to Cars, bringing the heart, soul, and originality of the franchise back with a supercharged vengeance. It's not just a redemption story for the character of Lightning McQueen, but a redemption story for the Cars franchise, picking up almost as a companion piece to the first and ignoring the events of the less grounded and more far-fetched second. In a bold yet smart move, it even pushes Mater into the background and allows McQueen's storyline to continue full speed ahead, as beautifully touching and poignant as the first. 20. Monsters University. While it doesn't quite match the genius and originality of Monsters Inc. or feel like the essential storytelling that is the Toy Story sequels, it's a welcome return to the Monsters universe and Pixar's best sequel of the sequel era. While it aims for a younger audience with innocuous jokes and predictable storytelling, it's still an incredibly enjoyable and exhilarating adventure. While it isn't highly memorable overall, it's a harmlessly innocent film that never tries to be more than what it is. 19. Onward. Feeling very different to anything Pixar had ever done before, Onward showed a company that, after 25 years of film releases, is still willing to grow and move in new directions. In particular, the film's fantastical elements, which are a lot of fun, feel quite unique for Pixar, though the downside is that the movie does tend to fall into some of the pitfalls of the genre and at times feels a little generic. Regardless, it's a beautiful, heartwarming story sporting terrific vocal performances from Holland and Pratt. 18. Incredibles 2. With Elastigirl off on her own adventure and Mr. Incredible left home to look after the kids and take care of mundane household chores, it's not exactly the sequel most had been waiting for 14 years. However, to me, this totally unexpected and subversive take showed the risks Pixar are willing to take for the sake of great storytelling. They managed to further the story and characters while maintaining the heart, humanity, and emotion of the original, making for the most perfect sequel possible. 17. Turning Red. Unlike any other movie Pixar has tackled before, Turning Red is a wonderful look at adolescent life through their traditionally whimsical and fantastical lens. A body horror monster comedy on the surface, the movie reveals a deeply layered and emotional tale about one girl's struggle to deal with biological, physical, and mental changes, while spotlighting how it affects those around her. This is a story with so much universal truth told in such a gorgeous way that absolutely everyone on the planet can relate to in our own special and messy ways. 16. A Bug's Life. This easily sits amongst Pixar's greatest adventures of all time, and that is an anthill that I will die on. Sure, it has a derivative story leaning heavily from the hero's journey in films like The Seven Samurai, but it's one that works so perfectly, with a gorgeous heart and message. A fantastically enjoyable adventure teeming with exciting action sequences, side-splitting sight gags, and terrific characters. While the character animation is naturally a touch wonky, its animated landscapes are some of the best ever seen in a CG animation still today. 15. Inside Out. An incredibly creative film with artists taking the opportunity to let their creativity go wild. One of Pixar's most visually stunning films, with a visual design exuding vibrancy, with fantastic characters and a visually stimulating colour palette. Perhaps their most poignant film, with a story both heartbreaking and heartwarming, loaded with incredible messages and plenty of genuine laughs. An emotionally loaded film that throws you through every feeling possible, breaking down the human psyche in a way never done before. 14. Luca. An absolute delight, bursting with pure radiance. Luca may be one of Pixar's simplest efforts, but where it lacks in grandiose spectacle, it makes up for in small-scale intimacy. When the movie does dive into more fantastical realms, it absolutely excels. Underwater sequences and daydream fantasies are filled with stunning visuals and narrative joy, exploring ideas of pure friendship and hitting on themes of social prejudice and the longing to fit in. Luca is a much deeper and more meaningful piece than it may let on, packing an incredibly powerful punch. 13. Cars. While highly original in its artistic elements, it's highly derivative narratively. 11 years into their tenure, breaking ground with each previous film, Pixar seems to have put on the brakes instead of continuing to power ahead. Though full of cliches, predictabilities, and some pretty off-brand generic cartoon comedy, I still do have a lot of respect for it. Its classic Americana elements and American Midwest setting are extraordinarily fun and appealing. It's one of the flashiest and most vibrant Pixar films, with exhilarating sequences and classic Pixar heart. 12. The Incredibles. While somewhat of a satire of the superhero genre, it's a movie that fits into it so beautifully and organically. Not only does it feature incredible action sequences, but it manages to tell a mature, deeply layered human story about family and self-worth. Putting family dynamics and real human stories over superheroics and explosions, with characters and situations that are highly relatable and easy to connect with. Its impeccable small-scale storytelling of a larger-than-life tale almost certainly impacted comic book films that would follow. 11. WALL-E. Utilizing artificial lens technologies to imitate live-action film brought a whole new sense of depth to the art form, visually and emotionally. With a lead character that is practically mute with no facial features, it relies on character animation and sound design to relay expression, tell the story, and allow connection with this robot on a deeply human level. It's this infused humanity that makes the film's love story between two robots so believable and emotionally engaging. Almost more than any other, it's an enormous testament to the artistic mastery of Pixar. 10. Finding Nemo. One of the most exquisitely animated movies ever. The technical brilliance of the underwater landscapes, their fluidity and realism continues to awe me. The colour palette is stunning, with deep blues so inviting that you literally want to sink in. The score by Thomas Newman is one of the studio's best. Soft, tranquil, calming and inviting, adding such an ethereal and majestic air. All the characters are fantastic, each with their own comedic moments and beautifully fleshed dramatic arcs, making for one of Pixar's weightiest films of their infancy. 9. Ratatouille. One of the sweetest, most tender, most emotionally engaging Pixar flicks. Every element works so well. Characters, voice cast, setting, and that stunning score by Maestro Michael Giacchino, one of the greatest of the last decade, beautifully blending the heart of the film with the sounds of the City of Love, delivering music that is as tasty as the film itself. It's one of the most whimsically enchanting. Its masterful mix of human story, disbelief suspension, love tale, and almost out-of-place supernatural elements is near perfection. 8. Up. A masterclass in emotional storytelling, touching on deep and dark themes, loneliness, isolation, grief, and regret, with our lead character finding peace, acceptance, and closure of a long-life chapter in his unlikely friendship with a young boy at the beginning of his own. The opposing worldviews of the two, one bitter, one optimistic, create a beautiful juxtaposition, telling a mature and poignant story. Through the heavy emotion, it's loaded with impeccable humor, layered characters, and exciting adventure, making for one of the most perfectly executed tales of humanity ever. 7. Toy Story 2. Taking everything that was so incredible about the first and doubling it, the scale, fun, adventure, and emotion, it's the perfect example of a sequel meticulously crafted as an essential piece of storytelling and not simply one told for commercial value. Running in new directions, it takes our characters on a journey even more enjoyable, gripping, exciting, funny, and enchanting, and introduces characters just as lovable. Pixar delved deeper into the psyche of the human condition, showing they weren't afraid to explore intimate storytelling with real emotion. 6. Toy Story 3. Coming 11 years after the last, Pixar workshopped the perfect return and again exemplified their commitment to perfectly crafted storytelling. The movie takes us on a journey that skirts comedy and tragedy, equally hilarious and heartwarming as it is tear-jerking and heart-wrenching. As I had grown with the films from the age of 4, it not only acted as a swan song for this beautiful trilogy, but also reflected the closing of my own personal life arc. This incredibly meaningful movie told me it's okay to move on and embrace the future. 5. Toy Story 4. Feeling like a coda or epilogue to the original trilogy that expands upon ideas and explores themes that were never truly fleshed out before, it takes a reduced approach, featuring the same grand adventure but on a smaller, more emotional scale, becoming the most existential and emotional piece in the franchise. While this is smaller scale, it still feels like Toy Story, with great action, brilliant new characters, and incredible gag pieces that live up to and sometimes even outshine anything from the originals. 4. Coco. Perhaps Pixar's most extravagant, eccentric, and dazzling film. It's beautifully told and richly presented, and is one of the studio's most enchanting and emotionally engaging pictures. It's a wonderful tale about following your dreams at all costs and against all odds, and celebrating and embracing your culture. It is legitimately surprising and unique at every step, with twists and turns that are truly unpredictable, and story beats that tug on the heartstrings like only the Pixar greats can. 3. Soul. An absolute masterwork, bursting with pure genius. In true Pixar style, it's a deep dive into the human psyche in the most meaningful way possible, deconstructing everything we think we know about life and everything either side of it. Utilizing visionary designs that are like nothing ever put on the screen before, Soul is one of Pixar's most incredibly conceptualized, most ambitious, and most boundary-pushing films, and one of the deepest, most meaningful, most mature, and most existential, taking their storytelling to a whole new realm. 2. Monsters, Inc. Pixar excels at bringing humanity to non-human beings and subverting expectations by taking familiar characters and putting a truly original spin on them. Billy Crystal and John Goodman bring something so incredibly special to Pixar's greatest duo next to only Woody and Buzz, and their chemistry and comedic timing makes the film an absolute joy. With them at the helm, Monsters Inc. is arguably Pixar's best buddy movie, a journey filled with tons of screwball humor, slapstick gags, spectacular adventure, and sincere heart. And coming in as my #1 favorite Pixar animation movie, Toy Story. An incredibly special movie which has followed me throughout my entire life. I've still never found another CG animated feature that I can say is better or more perfect than it. It's absolutely oozing with heart and soul, and Woody and Buzz are easily my favourite screen duo of all time. The chemistry between the characters and their vocal performers is absolutely electric. Its superb storytelling ability, chock full of hilarious gag pieces and tender moments, allows it to remain simply timeless. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to check out my other Pixar and Disney animation ranking videos. I've ranked the entire Pixar and Walt Disney animation canons, as well as a number of individual franchises. You can check these all out linked in my Disney rankings playlist after the jump. And at that, it's over to you. Which Pixar movies do you love the most? I'd love to see a full ranking, or at least a top 5 or top 10. Fire away down in the comments below with your own personal thoughts and rankings, but as always, remember to stay civil. To infinity and beyond. Hey everyone, if you haven't yet, smash that big old subscribe button up on your screen to keep up to date with all my content, and hit that like button down below. Also, don't forget to check me out on social media, and please consider supporting me over on Patreon for as little as $1 a month for exclusive videos, early access content, and to get your name up on the screen. Thanks again for watching.